Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Hey, we have got someone with us. Speaking, what a beautiful, beautiful segue that is. Top 40. Who wore number 40 for the AFLW side for the Cats for the last 3 or 4 years?
Wasn't Ian Nankervis? He used to wear 40 for the Cats. David Wojcinski wore it a bit.
Yeah,
it wasn't Anna Teague, was it?
It was Anna Teague. If only we could drag her out of bed on a Saturday morning for a chat. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning. Good morning, Rob and Neil. How are you both?
Doing very well. Hey, how's that for a segue that we talked about top 40 and you're on the telephone?
Yeah, that's a very good one, actually.
And I thought of that on the spot. Just as well it wasn't Renee Gearing, because it's the top 12. What's that? Hey, we've got you on here for 2 reasons. One, just
three,
to brief,
actually.
For 3 reasons. I've only know of 2. We should acknowledge what a great career you had with the Cats and the fact that you're not playing this year. So congratulations on your great career. And you played elsewhere as well, didn't you? He said, desperately trying to remember.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Whilst it was a short career, I'm pretty pleased I was able to get some footy in there. So Geelong, but before that, well, I was with the VFL side with Geelong in the first year in 2017. Then got drafted to Melbourne, had a year there, and then came back to Geelong for a couple of years in the AFLW and VFLW.
Because I was going to say the Bulldogs, but I would have looked really silly, and I don't need help to look silly because I'm really good at that already.
And the Bulldogs.
and we are we allowed to make the other announcement as to why you're not playing footy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you make the announcement as to why you're not playing footy this year.
Oh, no, lovely, thank you. So my partner and I are expecting a baby in late April. So, that's kind of puts the brakes on any kind of physical, most sport, but footy in particularly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, we're expecting, which is a nice, beautiful surprise out of what was a relatively bleak year of 2020.
And we had your former teammate Kate Darby on last week, who's in a very similar position to yourself. 1 month earlier, I think she's due, or 3 weeks or something. So have you been comparing notes?
We've been checking in with each other a bit. It's really actually quite lovely. I still remember when she shot me a message to tell me that she was expecting as well, and I so desperately wanted to tell her, but we weren't quite telling people just yet. So, it's quite funny that there's actually another ex-teammate of ours, Elise Coventry, who's also expecting. So there's 3 of us within 4 weeks of each other. So it's going to be a good little parents' club.
The race is on.
And there is actually a race on because the same day that Kate is due, my daughter is due. So Robin, Kate's mum, and I have got a bet going that whoever becomes the grandparents for the first time has to buy the other one for a drink, or the other way around, whatever it is. So
great way to do it.
It is indeed. Hey, that's not what we really want to talk to you about, but that's really, really nice news.
Thank you.
As many would know, Rob and I are part of a thing called GoFooty.live, where we broadcast VFL and VFLW games. And this year we have nominated, as our community partner, the Geelong Cats Foundation, which is a group that many people wouldn't know about. You're certainly heavily involved. And I thought, why not get Anna on to tell us a bit about what the Cats Foundation is and what they do? Because I reckon it's a really, really grouse organisation.
Yeah, thank you. And there's a couple of us in the foundation at the Cats, Eva, George, and myself. So we're really rapt that we can be the community partner this year with GoFooty.live. So the foundation is the philanthropic arm of the footy club. So we basically bring money in for every element of the club. So opportunities to donate do fall under 3 different pillars or categories, so to speak. So we've got our past, which is we bring money in to nurture our heritage. We've got our present, which is the community programs the renowned community programs that the club runs. So we help fund those. And then we've got our future, which is at the football. We bring funds and work with donors to the club to help bring money in to support those 3 elements of the club. And then under those three pillars, we have specific campaigns. So in 2016, we did the Stage 4 Brownlow Stand redevelopment. So that was a 5-year campaign. Another example is our community challenge that we ran in 2018. That was a 3-year campaign. So then more recently we've had got an AFLW or Women's Pathways program that we've got donors that donate towards. So yeah, we support lots of most areas around the club.
Anna, there's been some great press this week over a not too pleasant situation in an AFL club, but I hope that you're around the Geelong Football Club and their attachment to the Indigenous community and their Indigenous players group. Does that fall under the umbrella with some of the community work you do?
It doesn't. That falls under a separate arm of the club. But look, the club's really quite committed to, we're unveiling our Reconciliation Action Plan soon. We've got our Diversity and Inclusion Working Group working really hard to try and get a plan together there. So the club is definitely committed to, acknowledging that nothing's ever perfect, and we definitely everyone needs to do more to try and be a bit better.
Yeah, it was
As
come out.
The label of the other clubs do better.
Yeah, exactly, and I think from where we sit as supporters of the Geelong Footy Club, probably since Brian Cook and Frank Costa came in and overhauled a lot of cultural stuff around the club, it seems to me that the attention to the Indigenous players, their culture and their opportunity to embrace it and teach it to their teammates has been pretty evident. And while the events of this week were a little bit chilling and concerning, I was always comfortable with the fact that it's done pretty well here and probably at other clubs. I'm sure Neil's club in Brisbane do it particularly well as well, and I think there's a lot happening that's good in that space, but we do occasionally need a little reminder of the importance of continuing. So it's good that the club's right behind that.
Yeah, that's right. Agreed. And there's nothing it's important that everyone does some self-reflection and looks at what can be improved, and as long as we strive to continue improving, I think that it goes a long way.
Now, thinking about our listening audience, both of them, and no, it's more than that. If you think that, given that the town, they say 65% of the town follows the Cats, which by definition means 35% don't. I suspect one of the selling points that the Cats Foundation might struggle with is, well, why would I want to donate my money to a club I don't support? But the fact that I'm a Cats member from an AFLW perspective, but I think from the fact that you're doing things, even though it's branded under the Cats, so much stuff is being done around the community of Geelong, not necessarily the Geelong Cats Footy Club. That's an important part, certainly, of the development stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, one of the pillars that we support is our present, which is supporting the community around Geelong, and the community programs that we run. At the moment, it's having a little bit of an overhaul, so I can't explain too much about it because it hasn't been announced yet. But it's really exciting what's being done in that community space, and those community programs are continually being reviewed and looked at, and it's got that real focus on youth in Geelong and health and well-being. So being able to support the community programs is really vital, and keep an eye out for a campaign this year too, based around supporting the community campaign, community element of the club. And look, we've got our community Deakin Cats Community Centre as well at the club, which is a brilliant facility you can hire it out for free as long as the focus of the particular program that you might be hiring it out for is health and well-being. So yeah, there's lots of even though that we might not have 35% of the population that don't support the Cats, there's certainly a benefit of supporting the community programs. And even thinking about the football side of things, obviously I have an affinity towards the AFLW, but I think it's really important, even though they may not support the football program, the social change that can come around from having the women's football program there and supporting young women to aspire to be athletes and play footy at the highest level, or just to aspire to. I think it's pretty powerful to have the women's program there as a role model or something to drive that kind of motivation.
Yeah, and the only reason I brought that up was that let's supplant ourselves to Melbourne momentarily, and Hawthorn, for example, says we want people to throw some money in the can for what we're doing, and you think, oh, barrack for the can, Hawthorn, But whereas down here, it is a unique situation. None of the other 18 clubs or other 17 clubs in the AFL have a situation where they're a one-team town, and so much of what is being done through the foundation is about Geelong, the community, not so much necessarily. I mean, clearly there's a flow-on effect for the Cats, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. But I think it's just a really powerful thing that one of the most, well, every time I tell someone I live in Geelong who doesn't live in this part of the world goes, oh, Cats. I had someone the other day I was talking to overseas and in London, and she said, Geelong, the Cats, right? So that's the immediate association with the town. It's really important that that brand is doing the right thing by this city. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the club's responsibility. We've got such a high standing, in this area and like you even said, internationally. So, we've got such a responsibility to make sure that we are giving back to the town that gives so much to us, and being a one club town or just being the largest regional town. There's a sense of loyalty there, and there's a sense of pride in doing what the most we can for this place. It's such a wonderful place to, I grew up in Ocean Grove, and I think I'm one of the luckiest people to have grown up in this area. So, I think the club certainly has a responsibility, and Brian Cook's been very vocal in that it's, the club is more than football. It's about being able to give back to this community.
Anna, have you had time to reflect in your very brief retirement from the game to think about the impact that you and the other code hoppers had in lifting the profile of women's footy to the point that it is today? Are you sort of excited about being part of the Pioneer group? Yeah, absolutely.
Whilst it's there are a number of code hoppers. I came from basketball. We had netballers, we had gymnasts, we had there was a whole range. We had ultimate frisbee players in that first team in 2017. So whilst I think it was important to have people from other sports bring their knowledge and training standards and to AFL or to Aussie rules, it's just as exciting watching the people or the girls who have played for such a long time, since their junior days, seeing them come through. So I think, having a mix, that wonderful mix of, experienced young kids with, some older heads like myself and Renee Gehring or Danny Higgins, for example. Having a mix of those kinds of players, really helps with the growth and development of the game. And one of the beautiful things about AFLW is that it is, people compare it to the men's, but there's no need because it's game, it's a game for itself, and it's a wonderful game in its own right. And so, being able to have that diversity of talent and backgrounds coming into the game just makes it all the more special.
Anna, could you quickly clear up? There's some confusion. There's the name Teague is involved in a lot of sport locally. Netball, yourself in basketball. The relative connection with families, how does the family tree work, or are there complete disjoints?
No, there are a few Teagues around Geelong. I come from a fairly large family, so most Teagues that you would hear about around Geelong probably be a relative of mine. I've got some on my dad's side, so it's obviously my dad's side, cousins and aunties and uncles that are heavily involved in the netball scene throughout Geelong, and then I've also had my nieces, so my sister's kids, being involved in netball locally and now around, further away, over in Perth.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a few Teagues around.
Yeah, there is indeed. And it's nice to know that they are connected. And of course, many think that you are related to the coach of the Carlton Football Club, but that may or may not be true as well.
That one is not true.
Good, we've cleared that up beautifully.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, Anna, we better go and let you go and do what you do on Saturday mornings, and we need to go and talk to some other people. Every good wish to you and Sebastian. Did I get that right?
Sebastian, yeah.
Right player. It's always embarrassing to get the wrong name. With the impending project you're working on, and we know that it's going to be a super successful one. Every good wish for that. Also, thank you for talking to us about the Cats Foundation. How can people get in touch with the foundation if they want to throw some money or some support in your direction?
Yeah, thank you very much. So we've got our website, so that's foundation.geelongcats.com.au, or you can email us as well, and that email is ourambition, so ourambition@geelongcats.com.au.
Anna, I have a different show on this during the week, which will have a completely different audience, so I may be in touch because it is a story, as we've discussed, that is genuinely community-based, not necessarily sport-based. So we might approach it from a different angle with your permission at a later date.
Lovely, sounds good.
And we do need to clear up one other thing before you go, and that is when you talked about the two people who work in the foundation, Eva, George and yourself.
Yep.
Eva and George are not two separate people. Eva is Eva George.
Yes, correct. Eva George is one person. Yes.
Yeah, as distinct
Anna,
from
Eva and George.
That's right, absolutely. Anna, every good wish, and thanks for joining us on Two Blokes Chatting.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Anna. Bye-bye.
There she is, Anna Teague. What an absolute superstar on the football field, but I tell you what, she's an even better person off the field.